We've reached the final part of our summer estate planning series, and today's final A.C.T. step may be the most important of all. Live your plan. Over the last several weeks, we've talked about appointing the right people, communicating your wishes, creating your second crack at the apple, tying your assets into your plan. But today, I want to talk about what happens after the documents are signed, the plan is in place, the trust has been funded, but life keeps moving forward, right? Because even the best estate plan in the world won't help you if it's just sitting on a shelf collecting dust. You have to live your plan or make sure your plan reflects your life now. I meet people all the time who say, I've already done my estate planning, Amanda. That's wonderful. And I ask, well, when was the last time you looked at it? Usually I get one of two answers, a few years ago, or honestly, I don't remember. Sometimes I open a client's file and discover their documents are 15 or 20 years old, and a lot can happen in 15 or 20 years. Think about your own life. How many things have changed over the last decade? Maybe you've retired, maybe you've moved, maybe you've sold a house, maybe you've bought a vacation property, and your family's grown. Maybe your grandchildren weren't even born when you signed your documents. Your life has changed. Your estate plan should change along with it. One of the biggest misconceptions about estate planning is that it's a one-time event. People think, I signed the documents, I'm done. But estate planning isn't a transaction, it's an ongoing process. Your plan is only as good as how accurately it reflects your life today. Let's start with the people you've chosen. 20 years ago, naming your oldest child as your power of attorney may have made perfect sense. They lived nearby, they were organized and available. Today, they live across the country, while your youngest child lives down the street and helps you every week. Would you make the same decision today? Maybe, maybe not. That's exactly why reviews matter. The same is true with beneficiaries. Maybe there were no grandchildren when you signed your plan. Now, there are 3. You may decide you want to leave something directly to them, or maybe set aside money for education. Maybe you'd rather keep assets in trust until they reach a certain age. Those weren't mistakes in your original plan. They're simply reminders that your plan should evolve as your life evolves. Then there are situations that nobody wants to think about, right? Let's say mom created her estate plan 10 years ago, and at that time her daughter was happily married. Everyone got along. There are no concerns about divorce. So mom saw no reason to include special protections around the inheritance she planned to leave her daughter. Now fast forward 10 years, the marriage is struggling, unfortunately, and suddenly Bambi from the 19th hole is in the picture. Now, mom is looking at the situation very differently. Suddenly she's wondering whether her daughter's inheritance should stay protected in trust instead of passing outright. Not because she made a mistake 10 years ago, but because circumstances have changed. And when circumstances change, your planning should change too. The same thing can happen with remarriage. Let's say mom and dad created an estate plan together years ago. Their plan made perfect sense at the time. Then dad passes away. A few years later, mom meets someone new. Maybe it's companionship, maybe it's remarriage, maybe, hopefully not, it's Biff, the pool boy. Suddenly, the family is looking at a situation nobody anticipated when the original plan was created. Mom may want to provide for someone who has become an important part of her life. At the same time, she may want to protect the inheritances she and dad intended for the children. Again, nobody did anything wrong. Life simply moved forward. And when life moves forward, plans deserve a second look. Sometimes the changes are quieter. A child develops a disability, a grandchild has special needs, one struggles with addiction, someone files bankruptcy, or someone just isn't good at managing money. I once had a client who told me, when we did our estate planning, all the kids were doing great. Then one child hit a rough patch. Nothing catastrophic, just life. Suddenly, the family wanted protections that never seemed necessary before. That's why reviews matter. Not because the original plan failed, but because the facts changed. Then there's my favorite. A client looks at me and says, nothing's changed. Then we sit down and start talking. A new house, a vacation property, an inherited IRA, a brokerage account, a business. Before long, we're looking at an estate that's very different from the one we originally planned for. Remember what we talked about in part 7. It isn't enough to put assets into the wagon once. As life changes, you need to make sure every new asset gets into the wagon too. Otherwise, you may unintentionally leave those boxes sitting outside your trust. There's one more thing none of us can control: laws. Tax laws, probate laws, long-term care rules all change. Planning strategies need to change. I recently reviewed a plan that hadn't been updated in nearly 20 years. The executor had passed away, the backup executor had moved out of state, several beneficiaries had changed. The documents no longer reflected what the client actually wanted. Then we found a drafting error that nobody had noticed for almost 2 decades. The will actually named my client as the beneficiary, which creates a bit of a problem because by the time we'd be relying on the will, my client would no longer be alive. In other words, the document couldn't possibly accomplish what it was supposed to do. Fortunately, we found this error and corrected it before it could create problems for the family. That's exactly why reviews matter. Not because estate plans fail, but because life doesn't stand still. And finally, don't forget the conversations. Remember when we talked about communicating your wishes? That's not a one-time conversation. As your life changes, your loved ones should understand what matters most to you. They shouldn't be hearing your wishes for the first time during a crisis. That's part of living your plan. Keeping your guidance current, keeping the right people informed, making sure your voice continues to be heard. At IS Law Firm, we encourage clients to think about their estate plan the same way they would think about an annual medical checkup. You don't go to the doctor once and assume you're covered forever. You check in, you update, you make adjustments when necessary. Your estate plan deserves the same attention. Sometimes we don't change a single document. That's a successful review. Other times, we discover something important before it becomes a problem. That's an even bigger success. So here's your final ACT step. Don't just create your plan. Don't just sign your plan. Live your plan. Make sure it reflects your life now. Remember, estate planning isn't about documents. It's about making life a little easier for the people you love when they need it most. I'm Amanda with IS Law Firm. Thanks so much for spending part of your summer with me. Now it's your turn to ACT and live your plan. Whether your plan is 20 years old or you've never created one, no better time to start than now. If this series has inspired you to take action, I'd be honored to help. See you soon.